A Chinese restaurant in Japan's largest city, an elementary school in Kenya, Discover Bible Schools, and the challenges of urban mission. All that and more coming up next on Global Mission Snapshots.
Just before he went up to heaven, Jesus gave us a command. He gave us a mission. Jesus said, "Go. Go unto all the world, telling them of His love." This is our mission. This is our global mission.
Hello, I'm Gary Krause. Welcome to Global Mission Snapshots. In the late 1930s, a pastor in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, needed a way to follow up with people who had showed an interest in studying the Bible after hearing his radio broadcast. So he adapted a set of Bible study lessons and started a 23-lesson Bible correspondence course. Soon, other Adventist radio ministries were offering Bible correspondence courses. Today, the Discover Bible Schools are still sending out thousands of lessons and providing lessons online. Today, we'll be talking with Pastor Kurt Johnson, who heads up the Discover Bible Schools. We'll also be talking with Gerson Santos, Director of the Global Mission Center for Urban Ministries. And we'll visit a Chinese restaurant in Tokyo, Japan. But first up, Barberton International School in the country of Kenya.
Here on the campus of Barberton University in the country of Kenya is the BIS School. This school serves the children of university students and the community. Shadrach is 6 years old. He is a student at BIS. He loves to play with his friends and participate in school activities. Every day, Shadrach walks a great distance to school. He's committed to learning because he has dreams of being a pilot and a doctor someday.
You can see that there are a few mistakes, isn't it? Yes. And the first one is...
This is Abigail. She is 13 years old and also attends BIS. Her parents are students at the Adventist University. Abigail loves to learn here. Both Shadrach and Abigail study hard in their school. Each day, both students walk home for lunch. There isn't enough space to prepare food for all the students, so only a few students at the school are able to stay for lunch. The rest walk home, sometimes more than 2 kilometers each way. The road is long, and its poor condition make it a difficult walk for the children. After lunch, students return to their classrooms. The classrooms are in poor shape, and when it rains, sometimes water comes inside. These conditions make it hard to learn. As you can see, the students here are eager to learn, but their facilities are not up to standard. They need a place where they can learn comfortably without having to worry about the weather and the journey home for lunch. A portion of your 13th Sabbath offerings will help build new classrooms and a cafeteria for the students here. Students like Shadrach and Abigail will be able to stay happily at the school for the day. Part of the offering also goes toward building married student housing for the university students, so children like Abigail can live closer to the school she loves. Please pray for the projects in Kenya and pray for the students at BIS. Thank you for your support of the mission of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
My guest is Pastor Kurt Johnson, who cares for Bible correspondence schools for the Seventh-day Adventist Church around the world. Thanks, Kurt, for joining us. You have so many wonderful stories about how Bible school lessons are touching lives around the world. And for this time that we have together, I just want to hear good stories.
Well, I love telling good stories. Okay. The first story I want to share with you, Gary, is about a man named Howard, and it comes out of Kentucky. Howard and his wife were going behind grocery stores, looking in dumpsters, trying to find cans and bottles for recycling. And one day, behind a grocery store in Lexington, Kentucky, Howard was looking through the trash and he found a lesson, Discover Bible School guide. And he picked that lesson up, looked at it, said to his wife, "This looks interesting. I think I'll take it home and study it, but we need a Bible." And 2 days later, guess what? They found a Bible in a trash can, if you can imagine. Wow. God helped them find a Bible lesson and a Bible. They went home, began studying the lessons. Our local Discover Bible School and our local church had their address on the back of the answer sheet. Howard filled it out, sent the answer sheet back to the local church, and began receiving the lessons. After about lesson number 9, the church members contacted Howard, began to visit with him, answered questions, and Howard went to church, and today he's a baptized member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And when I hear that story, or even, I should say tell the story, and when I heard it from Howard, it said to me, you know, that the people that threw those lessons away in the Bible probably in their mind were saying, "I don't need religion, I don't need God." But in that case, they became an evangelist because they brought, unsuspectingly, they brought Howard into a relationship with Jesus Christ. Powerful story, I love it.
Yeah. Now, you said that it was lesson 9 that church members contacted him. Is that where you recommend it? Is there a particular stage? Or?
Well, yeah, we share with them at about that time that they ought to go visit, take them as steps to Christ, get acquainted, and see if they can transition from a correspondence lesson into a personal study. Good. Yeah.
Another story.
I'm going to share with you my favorite story. A lot of stories come, and this one is amazing to me. Mike Sticklin, who was the Bible school director in England, who has since passed away, shared this story with me. But we have to go back a long time ago. In fact, back to around 1955, this story starts. The church members were walking down the street, it appears, putting Bible study request cards, free Bible lessons cards on the doors of all the homes. And what it looks like happened was this one family got a card, probably laid it on top of their piano. And as they're sitting there playing their piano, there's a vibration that comes out of the soundboard. So they picked the card up off the top of the piano and began to fold it up to make a wedge out of it. And they folded it many, many times until they got it just really, really small. Took the screw out from the back of the piano where the vibration was coming, shoved the card in there and ran that screw right through the center of that card that they'd made into a wedge. It sat in that piano as a wedge for over 25 years. And then the owner of the piano sold it. The lady that bought it said that she played the piano for about 3 years. And after 3 years, she called a piano tuner. He comes to the house, takes the back off the piano, finds this card, unfolds it. So now it's almost 30 years old almost. It's got all these holes perforated through it because of the screw, lays it on top of the piano, and finishes his work, repairs the soundboard, goes home. The lady finds the card. She picks it up and reads it, free Bible studies. And it mentions the areas that it would touch, that the questions would be answered. Her heart's convicted by the Holy Spirit. She sits down and she writes a note and says, "I don't know if these Bible lessons are still available or not, but I found this card in the back of my piano." And if the lessons are available, I'd like to receive them. She mails it in. The address is 30 years old, but our Bible school has still existed at that same location. And she began receiving the lessons, and eventually she was visited, and the lady and her daughter are Seventh-day Adventist church members today because of a card that was in a piano for 30 years. It's an amazing story.
Well, that's the thing, it's longevity. I mean, as long as the card doesn't get destroyed, it still is a witness.
Amen. And I share with church members, we never know what God's going to do with a piece of literature or with a card. And so hand those cards out, give them to people, put them in a pocket on an airplane, put them in a library book if you check out a book. If you, when you give a tip at a restaurant, lay a card there. You never know how that card will touch a life, and a person will respond and study the Bible lessons.
So a church member who wants to get involved in this ministry, what can they do?
Well, if they contact us at the Adventist Media Center in Simi Valley, California, the Voice of Prophecy, if they contact us there and say they'd like to have a Discover Bible School, then we can share with them how they can receive cards and set up their Bible school.
And to see the lessons, you just go to BibleStudies.com, right?
Yes, the BibleStudies.com is our website where people can study the lessons online. And online you can either study with an instructor or they're also self-grading. And it's set up to where every church member in North America that would like to give Bible lessons online through the internet, they can become an instructor, and we can help them do that also.
Good. Do you have another story in 30 seconds? In
30 seconds? Well, another trash can story. Fred was visiting his daughter in an apartment complex, and as he was leaving, he picked up the sack of garbage sitting by her door, and he said, "I'll throw this away." And so he goes outside, flips up the bin of the canister, and the local church had mass mailed out the Bible study enrollment cards offering free Bible lessons. And some of the people had thrown them away, and they were laying in there on top of the rest of the trash. He picked one up, said, "This looks interesting," mailed it in, began to study the Bible lessons, and today Fred also has made his decision, and he accepted Jesus into his life, and he's baptized.
Fantastic.
And, I tell people, Gary, that if God can use trash cans, if God can use pianos, I'm sure that God can use you and me.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Kurt, for joining us. If you'd like to be involved in this ministry, please contact the address, phone number that's on your screen now, and pray that many more people will be touched through this ministry. It's my pleasure to welcome my guest, Dr. Gerson Santos. Dr. Santos is an administrator, a church leader in the greater New York region of the United States, and he's also the director of the Global Mission Center for Urban Ministry. Thank you so much for joining us, Gerson.
Well, thank you for having me here.
You know, urban mission is such a daunting topic because we see growing cities, most people now living in cities are just getting bigger, and when we look at our mission to share the good news about Jesus, you wonder, where do you even start? New York, tell me about New York.
Well, New York is an amazing place. As one of the largest cities in the world, it's very cosmopolitan. I mean, you have people from all over the world. People say there are about 800 different ethnicities or languages spoken in the city. About 60% of the population are immigrants. So, and it's also has it's very important in terms of communication. It's the center of communication news, center of finance in the world. So everything that happens in New York affects the whole world. So it's an amazing city. This is definitely, I can tell you, we receive every year over 50 million tourists visiting the city. And of course has so many challenges with difference in terms of income. You can find the most poor, the most rich, and you find all kinds of challenges as an larger urban area.
This year has been designated as a special year by church leaders to focus on mission in New York. What is happening with that?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, when we heard about this initiative of a mission to the cities, reaching out the large urban areas in the world, and the General Conference, the church decided to focus on New York as the starting point. That was a privilege for us to be part of this. And of course, you have people that think, oh, evangelism, or reaching out, this is about public meetings, but it's much more than that. I mean, preaching the gospel in a public setting is just part of it. We develop a strategy focused in starting with spiritual revival, training and equipping, reaching out the community, reaping meetings, of course, are part of the project, and follow-up programs for discipleship. This is I should say, a comprehensive approach to evangelism. Evangelism as a cycle and developing different areas, not just the preaching, but also making disciples, which is our main mandate.
Gerson, I hold in my hand here this new mission magazine, Mission 360. I say new because it just came off the presses last week, but mainly this is going to be a digital magazine where you can download it onto your Kindle, your iPad, your iPhone, whatever, and you go to mission360mag.org to access this. Wonderful. But I'm drawing attention to this because in here we have an article on centers of influence, urban centers of influence, where we can connect with the community. Now, do you have any centers planned for New York City?
Yeah, we have a few of them. I can share. One of them is right in the heart of the city, and we are planning to remodel and update a building that has been used for as a book center, a bookstore, and we are trying to update the building, developing kind of light meal, juice bar at the lobby. And we are also starting small group meetings. We are planning to have a series of seminars during lunchtime because we're talking right in the heart of Manhattan. And we have a lot of people that work in the area. They might live outside the city, but during lunchtime, they need to take a break anyway.
Right.
So this is a good opportunity for us. There is another important area I would mention is in Brooklyn. Brooklyn has been very effective after the big storm Sandy at the end of last year, and when the church mobilized its resources to reach out to the community and support the community, that opened lots of doors for us. We have a community service center there. We have a couple of churches in the area. And those buildings, I mean, they become centers of influence in the community. When we come back later on, when we come and invite them for Bible studies or talk to them about spiritual things, as we answer their questions, I mean, this has created a tremendous environment, and people are just begging us, can you give us a little bit more? We are eager to learn from the Word of God.
Well, that's exciting. I mean, the one that you're talking about first, right there next to Bryant Park,
That's
opposite
correct.
the New York City Public Library.
That's correct. That's the place.
What is it, like 3 blocks from Times Square? I mean, it's just
just a few blocks from Times Square.
And so what we're talking about here is a platform to put Christ's method into practice, where we can mingle, show sympathy, minister to needs, win confidence, and bid people to follow Jesus. One of the challenges of the cities is it's so expensive, right?
Yeah, you're right. This is probably the main challenge we face. Anything you try to do in the city is high cost, and you need to follow. I mean, there is no way. You need to follow all the permits and get all the unions involved. Especially, New York City is very union. Is strong there, and so we are investing quite a bunch of money to try to update the building. One of our main challenges is the elevator. This will cost over $100,000 just to update the elevator. We had some drawings from an architect that will cost close to $100,000 also to do it and apply for all the permits. So before you even get started, I mean, you already spend a couple of $100,000. So it's unbelievable. People may think, oh, you just go there and do, just put a new banner in front of the store, but it's not like that. It's a little bit more complicated than that. But we see a tremendous opportunity also. As I said, you have right there, you have millions of people working in a walking distance. You receive millions of people every year visiting those sites. I mean, Bryant Park and the public library is one of the most visited places in New York City. Yeah. So it's a challenge, but on the other hand, it's a tremendous opportunity. I mean, we can't miss it. Yeah. We have to take advantage of that and offer things that people be, in need. A place to recharge their phones, free Wi-Fi, healthy, juice or sandwich, and spend some time with friends and do some exercise. So we need to offer things that people will be, excited about it.
And as you make those connections, then small groups can start to be established. I think it's so exciting, Gerson. Thanks so much for sharing with us. Viewers at home, Please pray for New York City and the big cities of the world. I'm just so excited about centers of influence. We're calling them Life Hope Centers, places where we can connect with urban people in a way that is meaningful, following Jesus' example. To find out more, go to missiontothecities.org, missiontothecities.org, and pray for urban mission.
When Pastor Yu Chuan Fu and his wife Pan go to their neighborhood Chinese restaurant, they get more than a good meal. They find friends and a place where they can talk about Jesus. Pastor Yu and his family arrived in Japan in 2006 as part of Global Mission's Pioneer Mission movement. Originally from Taiwan, they were sent to Tokyo as missionaries to share Jesus' love with people in Japan's largest city. When they arrived, they found a growing Chinese population. Some 120,000 Chinese people mingle with the crowds on the streets of Tokyo. That's nearly 1/3 of Japan's Chinese population. When Pastor Yu and his family visited the Chinese restaurant near their home, they started talking with the owners. Mr. and Mrs. An had moved to Japan from the People's Republic of China. Back in China, less than 3% of the 1.3 billion people are Christians. After their second visit to the restaurant, Pastor and Mrs. Yu invited their new friends to visit their church. Soon, Pastor Yu started studying the Bible with Mr. and Mrs. An, often meeting with them in their restaurant. Then in December of last year, Mrs. An had to go away. She was gone for 3 months. While she was gone, Mrs. Yu noticed Mr. An struggling to run the restaurant by himself. So she started going to the restaurant to lend a helping hand. She helped prepare food, waited on tables, and washed plenty of dishes. Over time, the Yu's friendship and the Bible studies have touched Mrs. An's heart. Today, she's attending the Chinese church with Pastor and Mrs. Yu. She's still studying the Bible and wants to be baptized. Mr. An stays behind to keep the restaurant open, but he's still studying the Bible. Recently, Mr. and Mrs. An dedicated their young son, Tun Fan, to Jesus. Please pray for Pastor and Mrs. Yu as they work to share Jesus' love with people in Japan's largest city. And please pray for the An family and those like them who, for the first time, are learning about a God who loves them. Thank you for supporting Global Mission and the mission offerings that make mission possible.
Today we have a very special offer on Global Mission Snapshots. We know that many of our viewers love mission and the different peoples, cultures, and places around the world. And so if you live in North America and also enjoy eating, we'd like to send you a free copy of a new cookbook called A Taste of Travel. This beautifully illustrated book features soups and stews from more than 130 countries. So if you live in North America, simply call our toll-free number 1-800-648-5824 or visit our website and ask for A Taste of Travel, or just mention the Soup Cookbook. This book is completely free, although if you also include a donation, we would be very happy to receive it. But hurry, because supplies are limited. Don't forget to clearly state your name and address, and we'll send you a copy while supplies last. Well, I hope you enjoyed our program today, and I hope it's inspired you to pray for the people and places you've seen. Thank you so much for your continuing prayers and your financial support for Global Mission. I'll leave you with this music video, and until next time, I'm Gary Krause. God bless.
Let your heart be broken for a world in need. Feed the mouths that hunger here on earth applying principles of love, visible expressions, God still rules above, living illustration of the living word to the minds of all who've never seen or heard. Blessed to be a blessing, privileged to care, challenged by the need of parent everywhere, where mankind is wanting, fill the vacant place, be the means through which the Lord reveals His grace. Let your heart be tender and your vision clear. See mankind as God sees, serve Him far and near. Let your heart be broken by a brother's pain. Share your rich resources, give and give again. Add to your believing deeds that prove it true, knowing Christ as Savior, make Him Master too. Follow in His footsteps,